Welcome to Lesson 12. In Lesson 12, we'll show how to prepare fruit and vegetables for serving on Shabbos. The topic that we're talking about today was touched upon in the previous few lessons. I don't think it was as clear as I would have wanted it to be, so I think it warrants a lesson unto itself. The topic is the topic of borer. One of the 39 restricted laybacks on Shabbos is borer, selecting, separating bad from good, good from bad. The formula to remember what you're allowed to do on Shabbos is ochel, biyad, miyad. Let me translate. Ochel is food, taking good from bad, separating the food that you're eating as an act of eating, as opposed to removing the bad part that you don't want to eat. Biyad, not using an implement that's made for selecting a sieve or a sifter, but using your hand as part of eating, and a piece of cutlery, a spoon or a fork is considered an extension of your hand. And miyad, right at that time that you're preparing to eat it. And that condition we discussed in the previous videos. I think we went through that thoroughly. You said when you're peeling an egg, you're taking the shell, which is the psolis, the part that you don't want to eat, from the egg that you're going to eat. That's a permissible act of borer, because it's the only way to get to the egg. You're doing that right before you eat the meal. When you come home from shul, as you're preparing for lunch, you prepare the egg salad. Not in the morning when you wake up, say, I want to be able to start the meal when we come home, so let me make the egg salad before. Peeling the eggs wouldn't be permissible then, because that's peeling the eggs for a later use. It's only permissible even when you're doing it in a borer in a permissible way, if it's miyad, for immediate consumption. Let's go over the other two conditions. Ochel, you're supposed to take the food from the psolis, from the bad. So for example, if you want to serve a bowl of a bowl of blueberries, and sometimes when you buy a pint of blueberries, might be some that are rotten, that are spoiled, that are wilted. So you put them into your serving bowl, and this doesn't look nice. I don't want to present to my guests blueberries that are moldy. So of course the natural inclination is just to take the moldy ones and throw them in the garbage, but that would be taking the bad from the good. We're not supposed to do that. What can you do? You could take a spoon and take a few blueberries, not only the one that's no good, but some of the ones that are edible also. Put them on the side. Here's one that's no good, take it with a few. And this way, you haven't just taken the rotten ones, the bad from the good. You've taken a mixture you removed a mixture from a mixture. That's okay. Now you have a bowl of blueberries that's presentable, so serve the way that you want to serve it. As a matter of fact, the prohibition of borer, selecting the bad from the good, is the reason that we have this tradition. Ashkenazic Jews have this tradition of eating gefilte fish. If you have a fish in front of you, it's not filleted. You have bones together with the flesh, together with the meat. So separating the bones from the fish is something that could be a borer action. So if we make gefilte fish, no bones, you avoid that problem at all. Let's go back to the second condition. The other condition is it's miyad. You're taking biyad, take it with your hand rather than with an implement. So let's say, we showed in a previous lesson that you're allowed to take a lemon and squeeze a lemon onto fish. You're allowed to squeeze juice out of a lemon to put onto a solid, but not to put into a tea and put into a liquid. When you squeeze a lemon, there are pits that often come out. You don't want the pits together with your fish, so you might take a cheesecloth. You squeeze it with the cheesecloth, the lemon juice is going to come out, the pit is going to be held back. But what's holding the pit back? The cheesecloth. Cheesecloth is made to hold the pit in and let the juice go through. So you shouldn't use this on Shabbos. On Shabbos, what you should do is not use the cheesecloth. You should take your lemon and squeeze the lemon, and if some pits come out, seeds come out. If they're on top of the fish, they're not mixed in together with any vegetables, so you can take it out because there's no mixture. Borer is only when there's a mixture. If they mix together, so eat around it and try not to eat the pits, but otherwise it would be a little bit of a problem. So these are the guidelines. The formula to remember is ochel. You take the food from the bed, biyad, with your hand, not with an implement. And in previous lessons we discussed whether you're allowed to use a peeler. Is a peeler something that separates the peel from the cucumber? Is that an implement that's considered designated for selecting? Rav Moshe Feinstein thought it was okay, considered like a knife. Others disagreed. Ask your rabbi what you should do for yourself. The issue is a peeler an implement that's made for selecting, so it's not considered biyad, but it's rather with a keli, with an implement. The other thing is taking the ochel from the psolos. So after we know these rules, ochel, biyad, miyad, food, the good from the bad, with your hand and not with an implement for immediate use, let's go to some other practical issues that come up. So just as with the bowl of blueberries, I'd like to serve some peanuts. So peanuts come in a shell. Take the shell out. You're allowed to remove them from the shell for immediate consumption. But in addition to the shell, there's a red skin that I don't want to eat. In this bowl that I've prepared, there are some hollow shells that I don't need. I don't need to serve those. People aren't going to eat those. There are red skin here that also people aren't going to eat. So I can't just take the skin out. That's taking the bad from the good. Can't take the empty ones. That's taking the bad from the good. So what could I do? I could take a handful, whatever it is, and take all of them off, and then be left with just the good ones, or serve it with some of the ones that aren't so good, and let the people, take the ones that they like, or prepare it before Shabbos. If you prepare anything before Shabbos, you won't have this issue with how you should serve it. Similarly, putting out a serving platter of grapes. So you have a nice bunch of red grapes. The green grapes, some of them are discolored. They're all edible. So what you could do is, I don't like a couple of these grapes here. I could take the grapes that I don't want and eat them, because even though I'm taking the bad from the good, but to eat from them, that's fine. But let's say this cluster has a few of them that are discolored. They don't look so nice. But this cluster has some that are okay also. So what I could do is cut off this. I haven't just taken the bad ones. I've taken the bad ones plus some good ones. Put those aside. And then I could, in that way, take the bad ones from the good ones. But just to single out, there's a grape that's rotten, here's a grape that doesn't look nice, and put it out, that would be taking the bad from the good, which is something that should not be done. I think that something that is really unclear to people, and I'd like to clarify, there are two things. That has to do with separating the pepper from the seeds that are inside, and taking seeds out of melons, cantaloupe, and honeydew. So, as we saw by eggs, a peel, you're allowed to take something that is attached to the food naturally. You're allowed to take the only way that you could eat an egg is by taking the shell off. The only way that you could eat a pepper is by removing the seeds that aren't edible. So this would be something you're allowed to do. You're allowed to cut open your pepper. You don't eat like this. So what you're allowed to do is, this is the exact cutting around, and you don't even have to take any of the pepper that's edible. But you take all of this. This is like peeling the pepper, and all the parts that are attached to it, take off. Now there are some loose seeds that are still in there. I don't know if you could see them, but some of these loose seeds really are something that you should not take off. You could shake them off, and if you can't wash them off, because that would be using the water to separate them. But you could cut your peppers, and if there are a few seeds here or there, to deal with it. That's something that that you really shouldn't do. Now, before I show how to take out the seeds from melon, give me a chance to put on some gloves. You don't want anyone to not eat the melon because I touch it with my hands. We'll serve this melon later. So you have a cantaloupe. There are two parts of the cantaloupe that we don't want to eat. One part of the seeds are the inside, the other part is the shell on the outside. So let's say I'm going to cut the cantaloupe in half. So if I want to serve cantaloupe chunks rather than slices of cantaloupe, so what I might want to do is I might want to cut off the peel. And this is the exact same thing as peeling an egg. I don't have to cut any of the fruit with it. I'm allowed to just cut this right over the garbage pail, let's say. And I'm going to I'll be able to make this into chunks. Now this part over here, cut these off, right? So I'll be able to cut this without the peel on it. These seeds are also, you can't eat it without taking the seeds out. It's the exact same thing as before the meal, miyad, right? Before the time you're gonna eat it, you'd be allowed to remove the seeds, as long as they're embedded in there, and that's okay. The embedded ones you're allowed to take out. If there are any loose ones left scattered around, you could shake them off if you can. If they come off, you cannot wash them off. That would be using the water to take them out. You should deal with the few that are left. So, I'll cut some. I have the bowl over here. Now we have a bowl of cantaloupe. Put this out on your shalosh table. Fine. Or you can do the same thing with a honeydew. I want to serve slices of honeydew for people, right? So I'm not taking off the outer shell. Okay, I'm cutting it in half. But the exact same thing. I have seeds on the inside. Do the exact same thing. Take the seeds out. Now there's a few of them are stuck on. They're not really stuck on, they're loose. So those I'll leave on. I'll cut my melon. I'm not that skilled in cutting honeydew, but I have the honeydew. These don't have any of the pits on them, these do. Some of that will be served. If you're served this piece, which has some on it, so you eat around it or take it out of your mouth after you eat it, you have your honeydew that's ready to be served. So when it comes to Bora, when it comes to the prohibition of selecting, it's an easy formula to remember. 3 words. Ochel, take the good from the bad. Biyad, use your hands rather than use an implement. Miyad, for immediate consumption.